Greetings, survivors. This is ResilientZ back with another video. In today's video, we will talk about the Juggernaut Mech, which is a rider-type mech. We will discuss its cost, its skill cost, and then test it in battle. We will basically cover everything you need to know about the Juggernaut Mech in this video. We will be testing the Juggernaut Mech in a Berserk setup against a Berserk setup. Without further ado, let's dive into the action. Before diving into the details, I must tell you that this video contains information from the PTR server. Features shown in this video may or may not be added to the live server, or may be different if they already exist in the game. First of all, let's talk about the upgrade cost. The Juggernaut Cockpit upgrade requirements are the same as other Mech cockpit upgrade requirements. The Juggernaut Cockpit also requires 520 Juggernaut Cockpit fragments to reach the maximum star level. Huge shout out to KKing from S199 for the detailed chart. Secondly, now let's talk about Juggernaut's skill requirements. Like any other mech, Juggernaut also has 4 skills, and the requirements are the same as the mechs released before it. Skill number 1 requires 137 firmware modules, skill number 2 requires 180 firmware modules, skill number 3 requires 270 firmware modules, and skill number 4 requires 432 firmware modules, making it a total of 1019 firmware modules to max out all skills. Now, before we get into battle testing, as you all know, the Juggernaut Mech is a combination of 2 rider vehicles, Thunderblade MK1, which is a Generation 1 vehicle, and Savage, which is a Generation 2 vehicle. So, before testing the Juggernaut Mech in battle, we will test these 2 vehicles separately to have a reference for comparing the Juggernaut's results. First of all, here's the battle report where we used Thunderblade MK1 in battle, which is a Generation 1 vehicle. In this battle, we lost, and the opponent walked away with 198,543 surviving troops. This will serve as our reference point as we move on to test the Savage, and then ultimately the Juggernaut. It will be interesting to see how much improvement the Juggernaut can make. Before we move on with our testing, let's take a look at Thunderblade MK1's performance in this battle. Thunderblade MK1 managed to kill 15,282 troops. Now, that's not a bad number, but how will Savage and Juggernaut fare in comparison? Let's find out. Now, before we get to testing the Juggernaut, here's the battle report where we used Savage as the rider vehicle, which is a Generation 2 vehicle. In this battle, we lost again, but this time the opponent was left with 109,566 surviving troops, a huge improvement compared to the previous battle. Savage made the result significantly better than Thunderblade MK1. Very impressive. Now, before we finally move on to test the Juggernaut, let's take a look at Savage's performance in this battle. Savage managed to shield 36,225 troops in this battle. Moving on, let's finally get to testing the Juggernaut Mech. Here's the battle report where we used the Juggernaut Mech but with a Gen 1 skill, meaning Juggernaut is inheriting Thunderblade MK1's skill in this battle in addition to its own skill. In this battle, we lost again, but this time the opponent walked away with 139,284 surviving troops. While this result is better than Thunderblade MK1's individual performance, it's worse compared to the battle where we used Savage. This was a disappointing result, but somewhat expected considering Juggernaut was inheriting Thunderblade MK1's skill. Before we move forward with the video, here's the performance of Juggernaut in the last battle. Thunderblade MK1's skill, which Juggernaut was inheriting, managed to kill 17,809 troops, while Juggernaut's own skill killed 52,890 troops. Looking at these numbers, it's clear that Thunderblade MK1's skill dragged down Juggernaut's overall performance. Now, as you all know, a mech inherits one of the 2 vehicle skills that combine to make it, and this inherited skill can be manually changed at any time. In the last battle, Juggernaut was inheriting Thunderblade MK1's skill, But what will happen if we change the inherited skill to Savage's skill instead? Savage's individual performance was great, but would it be even better if we inherit Savage's skill on our Juggernaut? Let's find out what kind of results we get. Here's the next battle report with Juggernaut, where it is inheriting Savage's skill, which comes from a Generation 2 rider vehicle. In this battle, we lost, but to my surprise, we were very close to winning. The opponent was left with only 19,566 surviving troops, a huge improvement compared to the last battle and incredibly close to victory. This isn't just better than the previous Juggernaut test, but it's also much better than Savage's own individual performance. Before we move on to the summary and wrap up the video, here's the performance of Juggernaut in the last battle. Savage's skill, which Juggernaut was inheriting, managed to shield 35,143 troops, while Juggernaut's own skill killed 74,668 troops. A very impressive performance indeed. Here's the performance of all our tests today, and without a doubt, Juggernaut with Savage's skill inherited works the best. It's a combination that truly works wonders. Juggernaut's skill, Stasis, is powerful because it not only hits multiple enemy rows at once but also adds a burn effect that keeps dealing damage over time. Savage's skill, Ally of Control, is valuable because it directly reduces the enemy's damage output. By weakening their attacks, your troops survive longer, giving your own damage skills more time to work. When combined, Juggernaut's strong offensive pressure from Stasis and the damage reduction from Ally of Control create a deadly balance of offense and defense, burning enemies down while taking less damage in return. For your reference, all battles took place on camps in the PTR server. The opponent remained the same in every battle to ensure fairness and accuracy. No aircrafts, behemoths, tempest arms, or pets were used, allowing us to control as many variables as possible. No resonating heroes were included either, so no extra skills or gene links influenced the results. All vehicles and mechs used in today's tests were fully maxed. Finally, before we wrap up, just a quick heads up, the sign-in for State of Survival's collab with Terminator is now live in-game. We don't have much information yet, but I can confirm that the T-800 will be a hero. Not sure if more heroes will be introduced, but let me know in the comments what you think about it. That's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful and informative. If you enjoy my content, please like the video, share it with your alliance, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. I truly appreciate all your support.